When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos, updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want to get access to my content early, check out my Discord. This is the Chronicles of Lasher, Part 2. Now my voice is not 100%. But hopefully my voice doesn't sound too bad right now. I did a couple test recording. My voice doesn't sound too bad. But I'm not sure how a full-length video will sound. So I do apologize ahead of time. Now let's continue where we last left off in our story. With Lasher and Vector engulfed into a beam clash. As the Nova Wave clash with the alien Chi beam, both techniques capped into a beam struggle. Black Key is clashing with the Silver Key. Lasher released more power into his Black Nova Wave, while Vector did the same, but more power in his several key technique. Impressive, monkey. Not many can keep up with me in a beam struggle like this. For a pansy blue alien, you're not too bad. Let's kick it up a notch, shall we? Monkey, you took the words right out of my mouth. As they both release more ki into their attacks, intensifying the power of their beam struggle, until a chain reaction occurred as both attacks became unstable. Eventually the two ki energies formed and erupted in an energy explosion, pushing back Lasher and Vector back. Once the energy explosion dissipated, they floated towards each other as they both get into a fighting stance. I gotta say, monkey, haven't had this much fun in a while. Same here, can't pass up a good battle. It's a shame really. I'm starting to like you, Pansy. For a savage monkey, you're not too bad yourself. You know, monkey, I'm only using 50% of my power. 15%. As he gave Vector a smirk. I knew you were holding back, but you really shouldn't have threatened me with a good time. You're not the only one that's been holding back. Enough talk. As Lasher moved a whole lot faster and slammed his fist right across Vector's face, sending Vector flying backwards as Lasher threw another punch, landing a right hook across Vector's face, and proceed to repeatedly land right and left hooks repeatedly across his face. Vector managed to block one of the left hooks and slammed his fist across Lasher's face, getting some much needed distance. after he separated from Lasher, as Vector begins to tap in more of his power, as he screams out loud as he powered up to 30% of his overall power of 100. As Vector got a lot more faster and started to land a lot more strikes into Lasher, as Victor got into Lasher's guard and slammed his fist across Lasher's face. He used his opposite hand to slam another fist across Lasher's face. Then Vector proceeded to perform a spin kick, followed up with a key blast into Lasher's stomach in close range. As Lasher was slammed right into the moon surface, as the spiderweb cracks begin to form underneath him, Lasher hopped onto his feet and proceeded to access more of his power as he screamed out loud as a burst of Kai shot out of all around him. Then Lasher launched himself off the moon surface and flew towards Victor. Vector, with impressive speed, and grabbed him by the hair and spun him around as Lasher kicked Vector in the stomach with a powerful kick, sending him right back down on the moon's surface. Lasher extended his hand outwards, with his palm extended towards his opponent. Eclipse Cannon. The moment he announced his attack, his Kai technique shot out towards the descending Victor. Lasher had a smirk on his face. Vector landed harshly on the moon's surface once again, cracking the ground underneath him. Vector got back to his feet. He karate chopped a Eclipse Cannon away, redirecting the attack. As the Eclipse Cannon detonated in an explosion in the distance, they both rushed towards each other as Lasher met Vector halfway by increasing his speed, then immediately began to exchange in hand-to-hand combat as they both began to exchange blows with each other. Each time their fists collided with each other, sonic booms were being made. The longer the battle continued, more excited Lasher got. Lasher is clearly enjoying this battle. It's clearly displayed on the smile on his face. Lasher might have a vicious smile on his face, but it's still a smile. Lasher has never actually tried to use his ultimate attack, the Eclipse Nova. Yes, he's used it in his Mindscape for image training, but using such an attack in the real world is another thing entirely. But because he's been training for several years, his body might be able to withstand the attack. Lasher was broken out of his inner thoughts by Vector, starting to move more faster, forcing Lasher to pay more attention to the fight, increasing his speed, as well, matching Vector's speed. Surprising the blue-skinned alien each time he increased his speed. The monkey would do the same, matching his speed exactly. He would be lying if he didn't find this irritating. Don't get him wrong. He likes having fights. Not to the same degree as a Saiyan. He's still a warrior. There's clearly a limit he won't cross. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, the many monkeys he has fought in the past don't have such limits that managed to survive the purge of Sadala. Manages to survive not only several of the young generation managed to survive. So there's plenty of Saiyans out there in the wild galaxy off planet when Sadala was destroyed. Vector has come across several monkeys throughout his travels in the service of the Cooler Core. The faster he pushed his body, the more intense his opponent gets. Lasher notices opponent is getting irritated and making mistakes as he lands a vicious combination strike across his face, slamming a right hook, then slamming a left, then a knee in the stomach, as Vector followed up with a spin kick, trying to make Lasher off balance. As Lasher dodged the kick and land one of his own, and ending his combination with a palm thrust uppercut, sending Vector flying backwards. The moment his opponent was sent flying backwards from his attack, Lasher charged up and released his ultimate key technique, the Eclipse Nova. The moment he announced his attack, he thrust both of his palms outwards towards Vector. Vector wasn't expecting such an attack. He was taken off guard as a direct hit landed, sending Vector away from the space station as he continued to pass by several planets, as the black beam of energy sent Victor flying away, eventually slamming into an unknown moon, completely knocking him out. After the explosion went off, Vector is badly damaged, but still alive. With a satisfying smirk on his face. If he dies, oh well, but if he lives, our next battle is to be quite interesting. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, ice. Come out of your hiding hole, you little shit. I know you're there, and I know you know I'm here. Lasher heard a chuckle as Ice has his hand over his mouth as he cackles, as he floated towards Lasher in his first form. I'm quite surprised to see you alive, monkey. It's going to take a lot more than that to finish me off, lizard bastard. Then I'll have to correct that, monkey. But I'm quite impressed how you handled my second in command, Vector. No doubt he's alive. Probably pissed. No matter. You will die here, monkey. And this time, I'll make sure it's permanent. I've been waiting for this, freak. I'm going to enjoy this more than I should. Without any hesitation, Ice shot out several death beams from his fingertip. See if he could kill the monkey, catching him off guard. To his surprise, Lasher dodged the death beams by tilting his head and torso to the side, making several after images of his upper body in several different directions as he dodged the death beams. Then Lasher disappeared, then reappeared right in front of Ice and kicked him right into the space station. Lasher extended his hand outward. Lasher extended his arm outwards, his palm extended toward the space station, and shot out an Eclipse cannon. Ice, seeing the incoming attack, managed to redirect the blast with his tail as the Eclipse cannon flew past harmlessly, past the space station, into the vast vacuum of outer space. Ice immediately took this battle a little more serious. If that attack landed, it would have vaporized the entire space station, most likely killing him in the process. You got stronger, monkey. Of course I've got stronger. I gotta thank you for that, lizard scum. I know now I'm much more stronger than you. You monkeys are always filled with confidence. Very well. Let's see you can handle my second form. If I remember right, the last time you faced me in my second form, I made you my bitch. Shut up and transform. As you wish, monkey. As Eyes went through his transformation to his second form, Eyes' muscles begin to expand and build as Eyes gets taller, as his horns become longer. Ice was engulfed in a bright flash. When the light receded, Ice was in his second transformation. As his second form was revealed once again, Lasher did not wait any longer and made the first move and threw out a right hook, only for Ice to wrap his tail around his wrist and throw Lasher to the side, away from the space station. Ice had no desire to explain to Cooler why one of his space stations and several of his subordinates were vaporized by a monkey. He would surely die if that would have happened. There's one thing Ice knows about Cooler. Cooler utterly hates precious resources being wasted. He's no match for Cooler. He doesn't think anyone can beat him. There's rumors going around that Cooler knows more than just the two transformations. The second form is well known from his species, but the other forms were to be a myth, fairy tale that the frost demons would tell their young. He doesn't believe Cooler has access to the third transformation. He scoffed at the thought of Cooler accessing that form. Cooler might be strong, but he doesn't believe he is special beyond that. No one has ever achieved the third transformation of their species. As Ice begin to formulate a plan, let's take this battle somewhere else, monkey. I don't wish to damage the space station more than you already have. Fine, lead the way, lizard. As Lasher followed Ice away from the space station, heading to a dead planet on the other side of the moon, as they landed on the barren planet. This is the perfect location for your tombstone to reside, monkey. Funny thing you say, funny that you mentioned that. I was kind of thinking the same thing, lizard. It's not going to go like the last time, lizard freak. Who knows, I might actually kill you here today. When I'm done with you, I'm going to completely vaporize that space station. You know that, right, freak? Enough. Enough talk. If you want to die so badly, I'm more than willing to assist you in that effort. Die, monkey. As I shot out rapid ki blasts towards Lasher. Lasher begins to dodge around all the ki blasts that are shooting towards him. By flying around them or using his fast reflexes, showing off how graceful his movements can be as he flies. The remaining ki attacks came flying towards him as the Lasher stopped and began to knock them out of the way by slapping them away with the back of his hand in rapid succession. The remaining 4 ki blasts were reflected harmlessly. The moment the immediate danger was over and taken care of, Lasher flew forward and began to dodge and weave around more of Ice's attacks. Lasher had no desire rush things. He wants to draw this fight out as long as possible. Ice noticed his attacks are not fast enough, so he increased his power and began to throw strikes a whole lot faster and started to use his tail as well. Lasher was able to dodge almost all of the attacks except for the tail swipe that landed across Lasher's face. As Lasher and Ice shot out a large ki blast at each other. As the two beams collided with each other, detonated, blocking their view from each other, from the dust and smoke from the energy explosion. Lasher used the dust and smoke as cover and fired off a high-powered Eclipse cannon as it flew right through the smoke and dust, surprising Ice. Ice only had enough time to cross his arms together to protect his face as he had tanked the humongous Eclipse cannon that engulfed Ice. When the smoke cleared, Lasher could see a heavily damaged Ice, breathing heavy. As Ice screamed out loud and began to power up to his full power. Lasher was surprised at first, but his surprise turned into confidence as he smirked at Ice. At last, it was Lasher's turn to power up to 100%. As he did so, with a loud scream, as a burst of power ignited from Lasher. As Lasher has 100%, as black electricity emanated from his body. Both full-powered opponents blitzed towards each other and flickered as they completely disappeared. Then suddenly, as the sky was enveloped in shock waves all across the sky from their attack colliding, as sonic booms were being created, then a heavy burst of wind pressure followed shortly afterwards as they both exchanged blows with each other so fast that they are not visible by the naked eye. Each time their attack landed, Lasher got a lot more vicious and grabbed the incoming tail, slammed Ice into the ground by swinging his tail downwards. With Ice's tail still in Lasher's grasp, he pulled Ice up by the tail and slammed him into the ground once again. Without no hesitation, he shot out a Nova Wave with his opposite hand. Ice managed to kick Lasher away and managed to roll out of the way and jump onto his feet, then immediately jumped backwards and shot out several death beams, only for Lasher to dodge, leaving after images of himself as they both rushed towards each other once again. In mid-rush, Lasher created a keyblade over his right arm in his hand and began to slash at Ice, forcing Ice to try to dodge, only to get a cut for his effort as Ice kicked Lasher away once again. As Ice has a cut across his cheek, over his face, as Lasher slid across the ground, immediately bolted forward and went into and rushed forward, swinging his keyblade, as Ice managed to swing his keyblade towards Ice, making the Frost Demon unbalanced by throwing a left hook, then immediately used that as a distraction to pierce his keyblade right through the chest of the Frost Demon as Ice coughed up blood. Then Lasher kicked him away as he yanked his keyblade out of his chest. When Ice tried to get back up, Lasher kicked him in the face, sending him sliding even further as he hit a boulder hard. As Lasher appeared right in front of him and grabbed the back of his skull and slammed his face into the boulder again, shattering the boulder completely from his brute strength. Lasher kicked Ice in the face, sending him skidding across the ground like a ragdoll. Lasher's key blade disappeared as Lasher walked towards the Frost Demon that is struggling to get up to his feet. As Ice threw out a sloppy right hook, only for Lasher to land a vicious knee strike into his stomach, then proceed to slam his elbow into the side of Ice's face, sending him back down to the ground as Lasher picked him up by the tail and slammed him into the ground repeatedly. Lasher, witnessing and seeing the attack several times from his opponent, it's been very hard for him to duplicate the attack as he begins to shoot death beams into the limbs of Ice, making him scream out in pain as he ripped out one of his horns and plunged it into his stomach, making Ice scream out in pain. This is all you have to show me? How disappointing. As he picked him up by the face. You're gonna pay for this, you blasted monkey. I doubt that, but don't worry, I'm not gonna kill you. So let's find out how much your body can handle before you're near death. As he continued to shoot death beams into Ice's body, after he was done torturing him, he stopped using death beams, piercing his wounds, piercing his limbs. As Lasher got an idea, as he used the death beam attack to carve the symbol of Darkseid right in the middle of the large purple jewel that's attached to his forehead. Ice lost consciousness from pure pain Lasher left Ice there, battered and bruised, much like the same state he was when he fought him for the first time. Immediately took flight and head towards the space station. Once he got there, he instantly powered up a large amount of ki and released his ultimate technique, the Eclipse Nova, completely vaporizing the station and slaughtering everyone inside in the process. Lasher flew off and continued his journey to spread the word of Darkseid. Lasher was approaching a few planets as he noticed several ships that had a similar look to it, like the ships that came from ice. The Cooler Force, approaching a green planet. Lasher stopped, landed on a nearby moon, and watched the cooler ships begin to descend downwards towards the bright green planet. Outside of ice, Lasher has no bad blood with the Cooler Force as a whole, but yet again, the thrill of battle once again peaked his ugly head. Lasher begins to think around the lines. If the Cooler Force is filled with powerful opponents like Vector and Ice, he might as well check out what these aliens are planning. See what they're up to. As he flew around the other side of the planet and flew into the planet's atmosphere, finding the terrain of the planet to be quite bizarre. The planet clearly has more water than land terrain. There's plenty of pockets of land scattered all around. Some are bigger than others, and the trees were weird looking. The trees were long, and the leaves were like fluffy, like a fluffy ball. All the trees were all the same. And the planet is orbited by. The planet is surrounded by several suns, so there's no night cycle outside of the rare eclipse that happens every two to 3,000 years. But Lasher is unaware of that. Lasher found a nearby cave to use as shelter. He instantly cut down some trees for wood, then fish at the nearest body of water using his tail as a fishing rod. The first try wasn't successful, but after he tried a couple times, he finally caught a fish with his tail. With several large fish, he carried them back to the cave and began to prepare food. After he made a fire inside the cave to limit the chances of him being exposed by the Cooler Force that's currently invading this planet. He could sense there are several powerful power signatures scattered all across the planet. Some are more powerful than others, but he's uncertain if that's just the Freezer Force or if this planet has some sort of intelligent civilization. He hasn't seen any cities or buildings yet. Of course, he's on the other side of the planet. Lasher is currently suppressing his power signature, just as a precaution. His power level doesn't get detected. Lasher was in the middle of eating his fish in the cave when he felt several power signatures. Getting close. As Lasher walked out of the cave to see dozens of Saiyans Dozens of space pods can be seen flying through the sky and landing in different directions across the planet. Interesting. The plot thickens. Doesn't really make sense. Why would the cooler force be here on this planet? There's nothing here that I can see that would be valuable. Hell, I'm not sure if this planet even has any intelligent life on it yet. And the arrival of more Saiyans will only complicate things. Things are clearly not as simple as it seems. It's very complex thing. First thing first, I need a little more information on what exactly is going on this planet. If the cooler force is here, they're definitely here for they're not here for no reason. If Ice and Vector was a good example on how the cooler force acts, there's only two options that I could come up with. Either there's some sort of resource that the cooler force needs, or there's clearly something valuable on this planet. Lasher went back to his cave and finished eating as he began to meditate, to let things process on his own naturally, on the natural course, without his interference. He doesn't want to reveal himself, not just yet. He needs intel before he could act. With any noticeable movements, he needs to place this close to his chest. After a quick nap, Lasher made his way out of the cave and took flight, and made sure to conceal his power signature to no bigger than the power level of the nearby wildlife, like the power level that he feels from the fish. Easily cloaking his power signature with the rest of the wildlife of this planet. Majority of the wildlife on this planet has the power level of 1 or 2. And the more fierce predators have a higher power level of only 5. Easily cloaking himself with the rest of the wildlife of the planet. I swear this planet is mostly made of water. A couple land patches here and there. No cities, no sign of any intelligent life. I'm starting to wonder if this planet is just a barren wasteland. Only thing on the planet I see is water and the wildlife in the ocean. Until something caught his eye, as a couple low-ranking cooler force soldiers was chasing a small green-skinned boy with pointed ears and 2 antenna on the top of his head. Judging by the clothes on that green-skinned kid, he's definitely a local. But the soldiers chasing the small boy, clearly they're not from this planet. They're clearly wearing similar armor that he saw in the space station. So Lasher made his move. The 2 low-ranking soldiers of the cooler force was charge a key blast, getting ready to kill the small Namekian child. When the humanoid soldiers of the cooler force fired off their key blasts, Lasher appeared right in front of it and backhanded the attack away with the back of his hand, knocking the energy blast harmlessly away into the water of the ocean. As the explosion went off in the distance, from the 2 small key attacks when it made contact with a patch of ground not too far away from their location. What the hell? A Saiyan? So you must be with those other monkeys. Doesn't matter what you think. You won't live long enough to tell anyone about it. Lasher moved fast and precise, and unleashed an Eclipse cannon, completely vaporizing all three of the low-ranking Cooler Force soldiers, only leaving a couple of them left. As Lasher rushed forward, going into a void rush. The end of his combination, he pierced one of the soldiers by plunging his hand into his chest. Then he violently yanked out the heart of the soldier as the Cooler Force soldier fell down to the ground dead. Without even looking, Lasher blasted the last one with a Nova Wave, piercing right through the chest, killing the Cooler Force soldier. He picked up a scouter that was attached to one of the faces of one of the dead corpses of the Cooler Force soldier and places it over his face. The small Namekian boy was terrified. "Relax. I'm not going to hurt you, kid." "But aren't you with the other ones of your people? The ones with the fairy tales? Aren't you here for the Dragon Balls?" "Dragon what?" "You're not making any sense, kid. But we need to get out of here." The rest of the Cooler Force and the other Saiyans would have noticed my power signature spiking up as he grabbed the kid by the back of the scruff of his collar and flew off to his cave. He gently let the Namekian boy down to the ground. "You're not going to hurt me, are you? I told you before, I have no intention of hurting you. You're no warrior. You're just a brat." As he could easily figure it out, I'm not here with the rest of my kind, nor am I with the Cooler Force. If you would be more appreciated, you would fill in some missing information that I'm lacking, kid. "I don't know, mister. Just call me Lasher." Lute, as he gave Lasher a polite bow and greeting. "Thank you for saving me." "Think nothing of it, kid. I can't really tell you much. My elder could tell you more. If you take me back to my village, the elder should be able to tell you what you want to know." "Very well, Lute. We'll lay low for now. Then we'll head back to your village." "Thank you, Lasher." "You hungry, kid?" "No, thank you. We don't eat food or meat. We survive on water." "Wait, you can't be serious. You don't eat meat?" "We can live, like I said, Mr. Lasher. We live off water. We don't need to devour any type of meat from the living animals of this planet." Lasher stored that away for later use. After a few hours, Lasher shut off all the communication on all the scouters he has collected from the dead soldiers, and make sure his one on top of his face, on the side of his face, is shut off as well. "Let's go, Lute. Let's get you home." Lute climbed on to Lasher's back as Lasher took off flying. Lute was still learning how to fly. He was extremely lucky he got this far. He shouldn't have left the village the way he did, but he just wanted to explore. He let his curiosity get the best of him, getting him in trouble with several mean-looking visitors wearing strange armor. But luckily, Lasher came to his rescue just in time. That's where we're going to stop it. I'll catch you guys in the next video.